Let's talk about early season scent control. Now, when it comes to the concept of scent control, my mind is to not worry about all odors, but to focus more on keeping the odors natural if I'm bringing any odors out. And what I mean by that is I'll store my gear and my clothing outside in a neutral environment that isn't going to absorb any odor that would alert or alarm deer, okay? So that's one big core key part of it. The other core key part of it is to then remove the human presence. The ability for the deer to identify a human is not only there real time, but also not pick up on a human if that deer passes through your area that you visited later and identify that, oh, there's humans coming through here. So it's those two core concepts. Keep the odors neutral and eliminate the human presence and the human odor as most efficiently as you possibly can. Now, obviously, we're talking about early season here. So typically in early season, you could be hunting anywhere from, up in the north, the 60s, because we start in September, all the way into the 90s, and even warmer the further south you go. So to me, the very first thing I think about when it comes to early season hunting is timing, okay? It's timing. So when you're hunting early season, you're patterning deer, okay? And if you get the intel that, oh, I got this deer pattern, he's doing a certain thing at this time of the year, I have an opportunity to go out and try and harvest that deer, boy, you're gonna wanna jump on that, okay? So the most important thing is you don't wanna blow that deer out of his pattern, okay? And so the human scent is huge there. And when it comes to that and trying to not manufacture and sweat and stuff, let's talk about the ritual that I'll go through. Let's say it's a 80 or 90 degree day and I'm gonna go hunt. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is make sure that I cleanse myself, get all my body odors neutralized, everything else. The phase system can do all that. Not only that, it does it for your clothing and so on, and then there's something for the tree. So using the phase system, I'm gonna use that to eliminate or neutralize the human body odor. Once I do that, I cool myself down. So if I'm hunting early season and I shower, I go to cold. I'm sorry, I just do it. I cool myself down to where it gets cold and goosebumps and neutralize that body metabolism, because that's gonna be the key. So I've cooled myself down, I've neutralized my body odors, and then I'm gonna prepare. I gotta get my clothing on. I gotta prepare myself to go out to the hunt. Now, I am going to separate the clothing that I wear as much as possible into my prep and into my transportation to my site as I possibly can. So what I wanna do is keep my hunting clothes, the stuff that I'm wearing and going into the stand with, into that neutral environment that we talked about, so you're not bringing in outside scents. So that's being sealed up into clothing bags, it's being hung out into neutral areas, and it's being putting it into areas where you're not gonna absorb a bunch of bad scent that you could bring out into that environment. So I'll wear something super light, as least amount and as light as possible without getting arrested, and head out to the field. Now, the next thing I wanna think about is, how much time is it gonna take me to get up into that stand and get in my hunting location? So try and get as close as you can and or have as a easiest travel corridor to that stand as possible. And make sure you're keeping that body temperature cool with whatever you're wearing in the clothing as you're going to the stand, and then making sure you're keeping your metabolism as low as possible, and take your time, get to that stand. Once you're there, then you're really gonna exert yourself getting up into the stand, or if you go into a blind that's super hot in there with the sun beating on it, you just have to keep that in the mind as well. Once you get yourself set, once you get yourself settled, you can cool down, relax, if hopefully you didn't break a wet sweat. And if you did break a wet sweat, there is a product out there, we'll use our field foam, just use that not only to cool yourself down, but to neutralize that, body sweat that you've manufactured. Now, you're emitting sweat even without going to a wet sweat. So keep that in mind as well. But get yourself, your metabolism down, you get yourself cooled down, you get yourself relaxed, you neutralize yourself one more time with a foam if you can, and then get yourself ready to hunt. So that's kind of the core rituals of what we're doing when it comes to early season hunting. And hopefully those tips are going to help you become more successful. Now let's talk a little bit about strategy when it comes to early season and scent control. Do you really need to go out and shoot that deer on opening day? Is that deer showing up into the stand that you're choosing to go to on opening day? If the answer to that is no, why would you want to go hunt that and potentially blow that spot up? Okay, ask yourself that. I'm not saying you shouldn't hunt early season. What I am saying is hunt smart and not hard. Because the more aggressive you get, especially when it comes to adult trophy bucks, the more aggressive you get, the more chance of you leaving that human presence there, and the more chance of you wising that deer up and making it a lot harder for you to harvest that deer. When it comes to scent control, I would say it's probably the most important element when it comes to deer hunting. If you do everything right, you have deer traffic, you've patterned deer, you know what's going on, and you go into an area and they detect you as a human, that game is over. It may be over for the whole season, it may be over for a few days, it may be over for that hunt, but it's over. That's how important understanding the scent control really is. So when it comes to chasing big bucks like that, I'm gonna hunt windows, I'm gonna hunt smart, and I'm not gonna go hunt hard and chase and probably bump that deer out of my area. So patience is key there. Another thing when it comes to early season that we really pay attention to is the wind. And understanding where is that wind going, and you need to combine that with the understanding of the deer's behavior and the intel that you got of the deer's travel corridors. So setting up your stand strategically based on what that wind is doing is hugely important. Now, when it comes to early season, you got all that foliage up into the trees. It's nice because you got more cover. You can get away with a little bit of movement, especially if the wind's moving, because you have more objects moving. So that's kind of nice. But it also pushes that wind into some weird directions and swirls. And in your immediate location, you could have a west wind that's literally going south for 20 yards right out into the spot where the deer come out. You need to understand those things. So those are some things that we're gonna cover throughout the year and throughout the season when it comes to scent control, is strategies, wind control. And the other thing is I wanna say about early season is neutralize them odors as much as possible, them human odors. And one of the key pieces that I focus on when it comes to early season is I use a lot of lotion, okay? The lotion actually will penetrate your skin. It'll neutralize those molecules as they're being manufactured, and make sure you cover your body 100% and hit those high odor areas really good. And gob that lotion on during that early season, and you're gonna notice that you're gonna be scent neutral, less human presence noticed for much longer periods of time. And you're gonna notice that the deer aren't picking up on you, sometimes directly downwind. It's amazing stuff. So focus on the scent control, focus on the wind direction, and focus on making it as easy and simple as possible with the least amount of exertion to get up into your stand. And by using these tactics, I'm confident you're gonna have a lot more success when it comes to early season deer hunting.